aunt killed my parents for money and had me forcibly medicated to keep me quiet, so I gathered evidence until she was arrested. Now she's out of prison and wants access to her share of my trust fund. My uncles always told me to never let success get your head, and my mom and dad took that to heart. My dad had started a small tech company in our garage that blew up, making our whole family rich almost overnight, but you would never know it by looking at us. My parents were terrified I'd grow up to be one of those kids who thinks money is a personality, so they kept things simple. All my clothes came from thrift stores or discount shops, and I was never allowed to have the newest phone or tablet. We even had an old hit-up car that made weird noises. Our cat, Whiskers, ate the cheapest food from the grocery store. For a long time, I really hated it. I would secretly watch those holiday gift videos online where girls showed off piles of costly presents, and I wished so badly that I could do that too. At school, I'd see other girls wearing nothing but designer clothes and carrying fancy bags, and the jealousy felt like a punch in my stomach. But everything changed when I turned 16. I was sitting in the back of my math class when my friend Sarah walked in wearing a cute but clearly secondhand jacket. This really rich girl named Madison, who sat in the front, turned to her friend and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "If my family couldn't buy me new clothes, I would literally call myself." They both burst out laughing like it was the most hilarious joke in the world. In that moment, I finally understood what my parents were trying to protect me from, and I felt grateful. I guess they noticed I stopped complaining about money because they started to loosen up a little. It wasn't anything crazy, but they shocked me with an extra vacation that year. That's when we made plans to go visit my mom's sister Claire. She was the total opposite of my parents. She always smelled like a cloud of costly perfume, wore real diamond jewelry that sparkled when she moved, and drove a bright red sports car that looked like it belonged in a movie. We hadn't seen her much, and she insisted that we all go out on her boat for the day. I remember feeling so weird and out of place standing on the dock. Her boat was huge, like a small yacht, with shiny white floors and leather seats. Claire came out to greet us wearing a designer bathing suit and costly sandals that maybe cost more than our car. Meanwhile, my family and I were standing there in our old faded swimsuits from Target. Around 4 in the afternoon, the weather turned bad out of nowhere. Dark clouds rolled in, and the captain started turning the boat back to shore. The waves got really big and choppy, and I got super seasick, so I went down to one of the bedrooms below deck to lie down. When we finally got back to the dock, I ran up to find my parents, ready to laugh with them about the crazy storm, but I couldn't see them anywhere. Claire was standing there with this fake, sad look on her face, dabbing at her eyes with a cloth even though she wasn't crying at all. "They're gone," she said, her voice loud and dramatic. I felt like all the air was sucked out of my lungs. The waves got so bad they fell off the boat, and nobody noticed until it was too late. I just collapsed right there on the dock. Claire waved someone over to help me into her car, and her driver took me to her huge, empty house. I tried to speak, but no words would come out. For the next few days, I just stayed in bed, feeling numb. Back then, I was just a kid, and I believed she was doing everything she could to find my parents. After 3 days, she told me they did. She said their bodies looked so bad I could barely tell it was them, but it was enough for a funeral. I wanted to wear a simple blue dress my mom had bought me for my birthday because it still smelled like her. But when I went to my closet, all my old clothes were gone. "You're a wealthy girl now, and you need to dress like it," Claire said in a cold, mean voice. She handed me a heavy, sparkly black dress that felt all wrong. The only thing I had left of my parents was our cat, Whiskers. Every night when I would start to cry, he would jump onto my bed and start purring, rubbing his head against my cheek. It felt like he was the only one who understood. He was the only one I felt secure being sad around. Because whenever Claire saw me looking even a little bit upset, she would hand me a present. Each gift was more costly than the last, and costly purse, the newest phone, fancy headphones. She spent so much money trying to buy my happiness that I started to feel guilty for ever showing my grief around her. That's how Whiskers became my everything. Every night I'd sit in my new fancy white bed, feeling fully empty inside, and Whiskers would curl up on my lap and rub his face on mine until I almost smiled. The way his green eyes looked at me, begging me to play with him, was the only thing that could get me out of bed on the weekends. But I'm a really light sleeper, so every single night, right before I fell asleep, I gently put him outside my room and closed the door. It was around noon on a Sunday when I went looking for him. I had spent the whole morning just scrolling on my phone and crying, but he was nowhere to be found. Then Claire walked into the living room holding a pet carrier. My heart sank when I saw that inside it wasn't Whiskers. It was a tiny white dog with a pink bow. "I got rid of that ugly cat that was always bothering you," she said with a smile. "This is Princess." I swear I thought she was playing some kind of sick joke, but then she opened the carrier and tried to force me to pet the dog. I ran back up to my room without saying a word. I just stared at all the costly, useless stuff in my room, trying to think of one single reason not to just end everything. That's when I heard Claire talking on the phone downstairs. She was speaking louder than usual, and I was curious. I opened my door just a crack to listen in. "Of course I had to get rid of them," she said, her voice full of confidence. "The way they were raising her was mainly child abuse. No kid should have to live like they're poor." My whole body went cold. It was all on purpose. I crept down the stairs, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. Claire's voice carried clearly through the house as she continued her phone conversation. I pressed myself against the wall, trying to control my breathing.